Why am I lonely and how do I build community? Hey, Emily, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We are here to talk about your new article. What exactly is loneliness and how common is it?
Yeah, if we were to just kind of give like a simple definition, loneliness would be the feeling of not having your social and relational needs and connection met. In terms of rates, we're seeing rates of loneliness increase.
You talk about relationships are inconvenient. Say some more about that. What do you mean by relationships are inconvenient?
Relationships take sacrifice. They take compromise. They take a willingness to do things that maybe wouldn't be your top choice to do, right? So is it convenient for me to drive my friends to the airport at 4 o'clock in the morning? No, right? But I love my friends and I want to be intentional in my community, so I do that. Anything that's healthy in our life takes a lot of intentionality because for whatever reason, all the unhealthy things are the easier ones to do. Right? They're the more convenient. They're more readily available. So yeah, similar to healthy lifestyles, healthy relationships take intentionality and a willingness to be uncomfortable.
I'm so excited about today's episode. I'll be joined by NICC therapist Emily Hurst, and we're going to be discussing a topic that is near and dear to my heart here on the Road to Happiness podcast. It's about loneliness and how to build community. Now, why is loneliness so near and dear to my heart? It's because Jesus designed us to live in community, and I know when we have good community, what that means for us in terms of our true happiness. Like, it's impossible to grow into true happiness in isolation because God designed us for community. So Emily and I are going to unpack why am I lonely and how do I build community? And it's going to be a great resource for you as you develop community in your life and for maybe someone in your life that you know is struggling with some loneliness and trying to figure out how do I break out of that? How do I build community? We're going to be super practical and talking about the blocks as well as the actionable steps that you can take to be able to develop community in your life that really helps facilitate you experiencing the kind of joy and peace and satisfaction that Jesus desires for you to have in life. So stick around, dive in. You're going to learn some things that help you mature into true happiness. The Road to Happiness podcast is made possible by MyCounselor.Online. Hey, we all need some help every now and then. And the counselors at MyCounselor.Online are thrilled to come alongside you and help you navigate all the challenges in relationship or just life, the obstacles that life throws at you that get in the way. So check them out, MyCounselor.Online. They'd be honored to serve you. Hey, Emily, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We are here to talk about your new article that's out on why am I lonely and how do I build community? It's such an important question. So many folks trying to figure that out, feeling the pain of disconnect and feeling the relational way God designed us, right? Made us to be in community, and there's a disconnect and emptiness and a pain that happens when we don't have sufficient community in our life. So I just think it's a super timely and important topic. So thanks for taking the time to write on it and to hang out with me and share some more about it. So, all right, let me tee up with our first question.
Okay.
What exactly is loneliness and how common is it?
Yeah, if we were to just kind of give like a simple definition, loneliness would be the feeling of not having your social and relational needs and connection met, right? So it's the longing internally for that relational and social connection that's just not being fulfilled. And then in terms of rates, we're seeing rates of loneliness increase. Right now, I think they're saying somewhere around 30% of American adults are reporting rates of loneliness weekly. And that's just continuing to rise. So yeah, it's quite prevalent actually.
Yeah, I think just anecdotally, I think we know that. I think there's a lot of people that that feel that loneliness, feel that disconnect, for
Hmm.
lots of different reasons. We could do a whole nother article on why that is,
Yeah.
but, for lots of different reasons. I know in my
Hmm.
own life, just, there've been seasons of loneliness because it just gets so busy with
Yeah.
work and whatnot. It's like, get up, go to work, come home, do some family
Hmm.
stuff, go to bed, get up, rinse and repeat, and just
Yeah.
lack of time for friendships and connections and stuff like that. So it's,
Hmm.
yeah, I have felt that in different seasons of my life for sure.
Yeah.
You talk about in the article that relationships are like inconvenient.
Doesn't sound like a great word, does it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I know what you mean by that. I'm relating it to what I just said in my own story when it
Mhm.
is, but say some more about that. What do you mean by relationships are inconvenient?
Yeah, relationships take sacrifice. They take compromise. They take a willingness to do things that maybe wouldn't be your top choice to do, right? So inconvenient in terms of like, at the end of a long work day, do you necessarily want to go out and get dinner with a friend? Probably not. Like maybe your energy levels are really low, but for the necessity of community, like connection and community, like you put yourself out there. Is it convenient for me to drive my friends to the airport at 4 o'clock in the morning? No, right? But I love my friends and I want to be intentional in my community, so I do that, right?
Mm,
Is it convenient to have to cook an extra meal because a friend of mine is sick and I want to serve them in that way? Definitely
mm,
not convenient. I can think of other things I'd probably rather be doing. But it's the practice of being sacrificial and thinking of other people and being willing to do things even if it isn't like your top priority or your top choice, right? Like I have a friend that hates bowling, but whenever our friends go bowling, she still goes bowling because she's like, it's the connection piece. It's being with people, even though it's not what she would want to do. So it's an
yeah,
inconvenience. Relationship is inconvenient.
mm.
Yeah, I hope that explains it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I resonate with it. I think about
Mhm.
that in seasons where I'm tired and I just don't want to. It's that, and it's just easier to pull out my phone and vegetate, or
Mhm.
or just rather than rally and put together the energy to go. I'm
Yeah.
a bit of an introvert myself, and so for me, being out and being with people, that takes energy. I don't
Mhm.
feel as energized by it, and yet it feeds my soul in a
Yeah.
way that is so rich and so good.
Mhm.
And so it's an effortful thing, but it's a rewarding thing.
Mhm.
And I think what you're saying is that's just the nature of it, right? That's not just me.
Yeah.
That's that. I'm this could be a stretch, but I'm normal in that. Is that?
No, Josh, let's not go that far. No, I'm
Never
joking.
been accused of being normal before. I've been accused of a lot of things, but being normal has not been one of them.
Well, we can confidently say yes. In this area, that is a normal experience, right? Of like we all have
Mhm.
those seasons where it's like it'd be easier to stay at home or be easier to not do that thing, but it would be more connecting and fruitful for our relationships and our need for connection to step outside our comfort zone and do those things.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you here in a minute about the practical work of these things, but just on the front end of it, it sounds not entirely dissimilar from like eating healthy or going to the gym or some things
Mhm.
like that. Like, it's easier to eat junk food, drive through, you
Yeah.
know, empty calories. It's definitely easier to skip the gym. Those things are effortful. And you can do that, you know, in the short run without any
Mhm.
real noticeable effect. But, if you eat junk and don't exercise at all, it doesn't take very long before you start to feel icky. And there's
Mhm.
a negative effect globally in your body. Like it feels like this, like loneliness is that long-term negative effect from neglecting these things that are maybe
Mhm.
inconvenient to do, um, but they really cause us to be emotionally healthy, right? Like, first of all, am I stretching
No,
metaphors? Does that?
no, yeah, absolutely. Like anything that's healthy in our life takes a lot of intentionality because for whatever reason, all the unhealthy things are the easier ones to do. Uh, right? They're the more convenient.
They're
They're
there
the
for
more
me.
readily available. Yeah. So yeah, similar to right, healthy lifestyles, healthy relationships take intentionality and a willingness to be uncomfortable sometimes. Mhm.
Yeah. Tell me about the work of that. You talk about it being work, practically speaking, and you mentioned some examples before, but maybe unpack just a little bit more about what that work consists of. What's the equivalency of making healthy food choices and deciding to go to the
Mhm.
gym? Want to translate those into this relational health and relational hygiene.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways it can unfold for every different person, but I think some go-to ones would be like be intentional, right? So that's intentional in right reaching out to a friend if you know that they have something going on, or even just asking them, how their day was, or if you knew they did something fun over the weekend, reaching out and asking how it went. Like, be intentional in your pursuit of connection. Be intentional in setting up time to see people. Like, I think one thing that has happened is everyone has kind of just gotten into the habit of waiting to be invited and not being intentional on making the invite. And
Yeah.
so be intentional about asking that friend for coffee, or right, asking if someone wants to get dinner or go to a movie, or right, do something fun, bowling, right? Just the intentionality can feel really vulnerable. So I understand why that's something we've seen fall off. And also it's foundational to a healthy
Mhm.
connection. And so the work would be show up, be intentional, reach out, send the invite, right? Plan something with another person. Don't wait for someone to do that for you.
Yeah, that proactiveness in it
Mhm.
is vulnerable. It's
Yeah.
hard to do that on
Hmm.
multiple different fronts. You know, it's not it's not unlike getting up and going to the gym when you do not feel
Yeah.
like, at least for me, I hate that.
Mhm.
That, but
But similar to going with the gym, right? The more you do it and the more you create a habit and a
mhm,
culture of that in your life, the easier it becomes, right? It becomes
yeah,
something that grows on you and you can do more naturally. But definitely on the
yeah,
front end, especially like on the front end of a new relationship, that's really vulnerable. It takes a lot of intentionality and a lot of effort to do.
yeah. I mean, I think two things that I done, that I think are what you're talking about. What it has looked like for me is, I think I tried to adopt a default to yes kind of philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
For a number of years, I kind of had a default to no philosophy. I never named it
Yeah.
essentially, but I just did. Like it was like if somebody was going to ask me to do something, or if there was an opportunity, I was going to default to no unless there was an extremely compelling reason to say yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Unless it was like exactly what you wanted to do.
Right, exactly what I want to do, and convenient, and lined up with timing and easy and all that. Unless it
Mm-hmm.
was checked all those boxes, and it was a default to no. And somewhere along the line, I had to make an intentional choice to flip
Mm-hmm.
that and default to saying yes, unless there was
Mm-hmm.
an extremely compelling reason to say no. That when it
Yeah.
came to choosing to engage people in a way that's connecting versus doing something that didn't,
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity arise, I needed to default and say yes to it. So that
Yeah.
that was a mind shift
Mm-hmm.
for me. Um, and then the realization that for myself, I needed to just put some structure around it,
Mm-hmm.
that anything that was important, like brushing my teeth, pretty good to
Mm-hmm.
keep these teeth in my head. So I brush my teeth regularly, and I have a structure of the same time and rhythm that I do
Mm-hmm.
that to make sure that it happens. I just found that I needed structures
Yeah.
to make it happen. And so
Mm-hmm.
like I have a Thursday night guys get together at my
Mm-hmm.
place. We play poker on
Mm-hmm.
Thursday nights, and it's just I'm in town, it's on, it's happening, because I
Yeah.
needed that block out in order for it to happen with regularity. I
Mm-hmm.
needed to create a structure for myself. Otherwise, it just would happen inconsistently, which
Mm-hmm.
was not enough to feed my heart and really
Yeah.
take care of that for me.
Yeah. Which takes a lot of intentionality to set that time apart to be like, hey, Thursday nights, we're going to do this. So, yes, a yes culture and intentionality are really important for this.
There's another piece that you mention in the article in here about lazy communication. You said that lazy communication contributes to our disconnection. And so, what do you mean by that, and what can we do about it?
Oh, if I'm being honest, Josh, this is one of my soapboxes and pet peeves about our culture right now.
I'm
So
rolling it out. I'm rolling out soapbox and sliding it
I put
over
it in the
so you can
article.
stand
So
up on it.
yeah, but there's just a trend that I see in my clients as they talk about their efforts to build connection that I've seen in my personal life of people just not knowing how to engage in conversation anymore, and it immediately creates disconnection, right? And so I can't tell you how many times, clients will go on dates, or clients will, intentionally go get coffee with someone they're trying to be friends with, or people in my personal life will do the same thing. And I'll ask them, like, how did it go? And they'll say, great, but they talked about themselves the whole time. They didn't ask me a single
Mm,
question. Right. And
yeah,
so, which when you sit across
same.
from a person and they're showing no interest in you, right, that immediately shuts you down and is like, well, I'm not going to want to be intentional about building community with them. And
Right.
so,
I'm not doing this again.
yeah, it's like I don't want to sit on a coffee date and listen to somebody else talk about themselves for 3 hours and not ask me a single question about me and not show any interest in getting to know me. And so when I say lazy communication, yeah, it's this idea of not having active listening skills, not being interested in asking other people questions. It's the inability to really engage and show interest in other people. And so then it's shutting people down and it's resulting in lack of connection because we all want to be known. We want to be
Yeah.
understood. And it feels awful to sit across from a person and feel like they have no intent to actually get to know you.
Yep. Doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel good.
Doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't feel good at all.
I can see why that's a legitimate soapbox. I think that makes sense. So
Oh, it drives me
I'm with you.
nuts.
I'm with you on that. So you say if you want good friends, we have to be a good friend. What
Yeah.
does being a good friend look like? And I think you named just one of them just there around being an active listener, showing interest, being able to actually like engage. Is that?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a starting place, nothing else. But
Yeah, I think a lot of what we've talked about already, like if we throw it all together, encompasses a lot of the components to be a good friend, right? So it's being
mhm,
intentional, right? So it's being intentional either in asking questions and reaching out and communicating. It's being intentional in invites. It's internalizing what people are actually saying to you, being intentional about listening, not just hearing, but listening. It's about being willing to step outside your comfort zone or do something that's not your first choice, but it means something to your friend, and so you do it, right? Like my friend loves to dance. I hate dancing, but I'm going dancing with
no,
her tomorrow night because it means so much to her. And I gotta
uh,
tell you, I'm dreading it, but right, it
I
means so
love it.
much to my
What kind of
friend, so I'm
dance?
going. It's line dancing.
Oh
Um,
yeah, Cassie is going to be so thrilled. Next time we're in town, she's going to be asking out line dancing. She loves
oh,
to line dance. I do not love to line dance. I don't
not for
mind the West
me.
Coast swing, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, none of
right.
it is for me.
That's what you're saying is that the willingness to say yes and be with others,
Mhm.
even though it's outside of kind of what you would pick, that
Yeah,
is part of why you have those rich relationships in your
yeah,
life.
yeah. Yes. So willingness to step out. And then I think this other piece, right, is a willingness to let people know you, right? I think,
Mm,
right. So it's also the willingness to be vulnerable. So to allow
yeah.
people to hold things with you. It's the vulnerability of saying, hey, I've had a bad day. And
Mhm.
it's not just about showing up well for other people, but being a good friend also means allowing other people to show up well for you. And so
Yeah.
because it's that
That's
reciprocity
hard
that we're
too.
looking for. Hmm.
Yeah. Which is also being vulnerable is challenging in
Yeah.
doing that. I think that the last question I have for you, this kind of leads into that in a lot of ways is how can counseling help you be a good friend? How can counseling help me be a good friend? That and yeah, certainly I think about difficulties of being vulnerable. I think about, past wounds that I've had in friendships or relationships that caused me to be standoffish. Yeah. Just say more about, as you are a counselor and as
Mhm.
you obviously have written on this and spend time in therapy with folks that are navigating loneliness and these
Mhm.
questions, like how does that help?
Yeah, counseling can help identify patterns in your relationships. Like if you're struggling to make friendships, counseling can help identify like why is that? Is it a struggle with being vulnerable? Is it a fear of rejection that's stopping you from even initiating to begin with, right? Like it helps identify where the wounds in relationships might be that is getting
Mm,
in the way. It can help you identify, are you a withdrawer in friendship? And so the second that there's conflict, you flee and you don't give it a chance to try and, work through that. Are you a pursuer in friendship? And so you unintentionally create a lot of conflict and people can have a hard time connecting to you, right? Like, what are your patterns? What are your blocks to
mm,
vulnerability? What is your blocks to being active and intentional? A therapist can just, right, we have the outside view and we can be like, okay, maybe this is what's going on and help you gain confidence and self-awareness and self-assurance to be able to put yourself out there for friendship.
makes so much sense. This is maybe a rhetorical question in it, but let you answer it. Like, does this work? Like in the folks that you have folks come in and they're having
Mhm.
some difficulty, they're feeling that loneliness, they're feeling disconnect. And that, like, do you see them being able to overcome that? Do you see them, like, is there hope?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty complicated question. But yes, there is a lot of hope, right? Especially if
Mm,
everyone is trying to work on their self-awareness on how they can be a better friend, then we're being
mm-hmm,
better friends for our friends and they're being better friends for us. And we've created a cycle of change in how we're engaging this. But absolutely, I have seen people grow their social circles and their confidence in relationships and
mm,
their ability to know and be known. So counseling can 100% help you in this area.
mm. Love it. Such an important topic just for
Mhm.
human existence and thriving and living. Like, if we can't have good relationships, life degrades, even if other things are going for us well in our career or other stuff. So, thanks so
Yeah.
much for taking the time to write about this, share some of the
Mhm.
wisdom from all the different clients that you've worked with around these topics. So,
Yeah,
yeah, appreciate you.
absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. It brings Cassie and I a lot of joy to be a part of your story and have these conversations with you just about life and faith and neuroscience. Like, it is such a joy to get to do this with you. It's more fun when we learn together. I got a small ask for you. Would you hit the subscribe button for this podcast? It really helps us, and it's a free way in which you can support what it is that we're doing and help others be able to connect with the same resources that you're enjoying. And if you find yourself in need of a little extra help, check out MyCounselor.Online. They're our sponsors. They make this podcast possible. The Christian counselors at MyCounselor.Online would be thrilled to come alongside you and serve you in your time of need. Hey, and Cassie and I want you to know that we're praying for you and that we're cheering you on as you mature into true happiness.